Well, hello and welcome to Being Catholic Media. I'm glad you have joined me today for this last, I guess, probably interview chat before Christmas kicks off. And for those of you who have been following us on YouTube, Facebook, and all of our socials, will know we have been doing a huge push and a huge drive around the divine will. And lately we have been doing some stuff around the lessons that Our Lady wants to share with us through the Kingdom of the Divine Will book. And joining me today, we have the wonderful Sister Benedicta from the Daughters of the Divine Will to unpack some of these wonderful messages she has and just to share more with us. So hello there, Sister. Great to have you with us as usual over there in Medjugorje.
Yes, thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, and tell us, what's it like? It must be absolutely magical in Medjugorje right now with all the trees and everything and just the atmosphere.
Yes, it is. It's beautiful. The atmosphere is beautiful. The people here are very joyful, and there's just the peace, how it is in Medjugorje. And yeah, I love being here.
You know, I turned 50. It's my birthday on Christmas Day, and I turned 50 2 years ago. I'll be 52 this coming Christmas. And one of my dreams was always to go to Medjugorje for Christmas time. But unfortunately, COVID hit and all that. So I didn't get the opportunity to go, but that is one of my dreams, and it'll be on my bucket list to visit Medjugorje in Christmas time. So I so look forward to that. But sister,
well, I'm sure Our Lady will bring you here.
I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will. But look, we're going to have a chat about the lessons that Our Lady shares with us in the Kingdom of the Divine Will book itself. I'm just going to show you our audience, the book itself. The book itself, as you can see. Now we've done wee videos on the lessons themselves, and I mean they're mind-blowing, sister. I think you'll agree.
Yeah.
And we put up 3 of them already, from taking the first step, the second step, and the third step. And really these lessons are absolutely mind-blowing. I when you're reading them, and indeed when we're putting them together, there's so much in them. But she wants to really take us by the hand, sister, doesn't she? She wants to take us by the hand and tell us how it all began. So perhaps you can maybe share a little bit about, her role in the divine will and really what really is she trying to share with us through these messages?
Well, Our Lady, she's the queen of the divine will. She's our mother, and as a good mother, she wants to teach her children she wants her children to be happy, to be at peace, and to realize the truth, because we live in this world and we're blinded by, the spiritual. We don't see what she sees. And she wants to teach us how to live by faith. She wants to teach us the truth that we are dearly loved by God, by her Son, and that we have the Holy Spirit, the sanctifier, who's sanctifying our souls. And so she takes us by the hand with these volumes, and in a very simple way, but profound. And she wants us to come to her 3 times a day. Like even our community, we say this prayer 3 times a day. My mother, I love you, love me too, and give me a sip of the will of God for my soul. And so we ask her for this, and this is what she does with the divine will, with her book that she had given to Luisa. And her role is to Luisa she was the one that was leading her and guiding her in all of this, because Our Lady never did her own will. She was always in divine will, and it was a continuous martyrdom. So that was her test. Her test was every single act was the will of God, so she's teaching us how to do that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that really struck me about the messages and the lessons was the language used. And I just want to just read a little bit of the first lesson she shares with us. She says, I am already next to you, my child, to offer you my lessons imbued with heaven. Now, the language itself is almost heavenly. I mean, if you read the messages, the lessons themselves, you'll be completely blown away by them, because the language is so intense and it's so descriptive. And as you say, sister, one of the key things she wants you to say, come closer. Come to your tender mother. Come sit on my lap and trust me. And I think one of the key, the thread running through these messages and lessons is trust. She wants us to trust us with all her heart, all our heart, and she will gently take us by the hand. But I guess one of the many things come up in these lessons, but she talks about how she was formed. She talks about how she was chosen from the beginning of time and how that she was sanctified. Perhaps you could share a little bit about that as well.
Yes, she, before she was even born, the Lord showed her what it was like to not live in his will. And she knew what it was like, and she saw the damage that was done to humanity from the fall of Adam. So she had been visiting the throne of God before she was even before she was born. So she had been chosen from the beginning of time. And if you read the Bible in Genesis 3:15, he talks about this. He talks about how it's a message about Our Lady, and even also in Revelations, where he talks about the woman in the sky and how and how the evil one the devil will attack her children, and we are her children. So she has been chosen from the beginning of time, and she was still though given the trial. So she had to pass this trial, and she had to give her fiat, not just on the Annunciation, but at the beginning of before she was born, and every moment, giving her fiat, giving her will to the Father, and doing the will of God. She even told God the Father, she said, I give you my will and tie it to your throne. And I won't, she only wanted to do the will of the Father.
Yes.
So every act was a martyrdom, we can say, because she never did her own will.
Yeah. And as she also, sometimes I think in our own minds, we try to understand the fall. We try to understand the fall of Adam. But by reading these lessons, she gives us a greater understanding of how this all happened. And, it can be so confusing sometimes because we're trying to understand it. We're a limited understanding about the fall of Adam and the book of Genesis. But what I found about these lessons is it totally unpacked this for me. And it basically, I got a greater understanding of what happened to Adam. And like you say, also an understanding about Mary's role in the divine will, and how there's also in lesson 2 where it says all creation smiles, all creation groaned, the stars twinkled because of who she was, and glorified her. And it was, it's actually quite staggering. It's so beautiful. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, because this is what we were meant to be. We were meant to be this way, but because of the fall of Adam, it's not that way. So Adam, he chose to do his own will. And so out of that affected all of us. But then the Lord chose Our Lady. From all of eternity, he had chose her to do this, but she still had to say yes. She still had to agree to it. Yes. And he's her masterpiece. So, and really creation was made for us. Creation, and he tells us he made creation for every single one of us. He said, if I could have made the world a whole universe for each one, I would have, but I didn't have to do that. So yes, that's why creation bows and all of this at Our Lady, because she is creation never fell out of the divine will. Yes. Humanity did.
Yes.
So yes, it's very profound readings. Yeah.
Another thing as well she shares is that we're under the impression that just because of who she was, that she didn't have to endure any kind of trial or any kind of test, which is quite the opposite.
It's quite the opposite.
Yeah. She went through as many trials and more than we will ever know, because God had to test her in order to give her the graces, in order to see who she was. He had to give her a test. And, you know, it also makes, I guess, a little bit easier for us to understand about what it means to be tested by God. That if we are tested, it is for our good. You know, he's working out, I guess, our salvation. But it's quite incredible. We think that just because of who she was, she didn't endure anything, but it's quite the opposite, right?
Yes, he even told her, he said, well, he mentioned in the writings how she had to even gain the title of Our Lady of Sorrows. She had to experience every sorrow.
Yes.
So Our Lady really suffered every sorrow that you can imagine, because even everything that her son suffered, she was in the divine will. Mm-hmm. She was one with the Lord.
Yeah.
So everything that he suffered, she felt that. Yeah. And even at the foot of the cross.
Yeah.
Imagine all the suffering that she went through, and she did not lament. She's not cry out and scream, "Why are you doing this?" No. She accepted the will of God as much as it hurt her, you know. So she teaches us to, in her suffering, she teaches us how to trust. Mm-hmm. She teaches us how to hope against hope.
Yeah.
When things seem like they're hopeless.
Yeah.
Trust in the Lord.
Yeah.
Continue doing the will of God.
Yeah.
You know, continue to abandon yourself and to surrender.
Mm. And it is a daily chore, surrendering. I mean, it really, really is for all of us, because we want to, particularly around this time of year, you know, we're running buying presents, we're getting very materialistic. And before you know it, that peace of God can be taken away from you. Where she's a constant reminder to us, you know, that in the divine will, we must, if we can, be present with God all the time, because before we know it, we can be pulled away.
Yes.
And Our Lady teaches us to constantly be mindful of this. Say the acts every day, or, you know, the act, say the prayer, consecrate yourself each day to the divine will. Whenever you can, be mindful, as Daniel O'Connor says, be mindful of this all the time. But one thing, you know, also, Our Lady wants to protect us. She wants to protect her children, you know. And in one of the lessons, she talks about the human will and how it's just like rags, ugly rags. When we go down the path of choosing this world instead of the heavenly, we suffer a lot. And when we were doing the videos, we really wanted to create imagery that would show what Our Lady was trying to tell us, you know, and we really were directed by the Holy Spirit in this, completely and utterly. But that really is what happens to us when we follow our own will. Everything becomes like rags. It becomes dirty. You know, the purity goes when we follow our own will. All that stuff that is holy and of God is removed from our lives. So it was, like I say, the lessons themselves teach us to live pure, godly, and holy lives. And they tell us in a very, very simple way. Her lessons are simple, but yet extremely profound.
And, you know, she encourages us. She wants us to be courageous. You see, yes. You know, even though, you know, if we do our human will, we will suffer, and we have to pay the consequences. We have to suffer through the consequences of our bad actions. Yeah. But she gives us these the encouragement to even go through that, and then it's redeeming, because the Lord redeems us through that, through the sacraments, and she teaches us how to accept the will of God, even in the times when, let's say, it's not even our fault. You know, maybe it's not our sin, but somebody else's sin. Yes. That's affecting them. You know, yes. But she tells us, like in lesson 20. She talks about how maternity, she talks about maternity and what maternity is. She says, maternity says it means true love, which is a heroic love, love which is content with dying to give life to the one it has generated. Without this, the word maternity is sterile, it is empty, and it is reduced to mere words, but does not exist in fact. Therefore, my child, she says, if you want the generation of all goods, let the fiat take its operating life in you, which will give you maternity, and you will love everyone with the love of a mother. And I, your mama, will teach you how to fecundate this maternity, all holy and divine within you. So it's like this, all of us, because we're baptized, we have Jesus in us. It's, if you think about how she's teaching us to take care of this Jesus that's in you, and how to empty ourselves more and more. And that takes courage. It's scary because we have all these attachments to the world, and it's a disordered love. It could be a disordered love with our family members. It could be with some friends, or in a relationship, or even with things, we could be afraid of, losing certain things, and it's a disordered love. We're not having a faith in God in these situations, and so she wants to help us to order these things correctly within our lives and within our hearts, so we can be truly free.
Yeah, and I think that's the key word, which brings me on to my next, I guess, question, is that sometimes we feel that the divine will is kind of, it's not, it actually gives us freedom, the divine will. We think the world doing what we want to do gives us freedom, but when we read more and get to know the divine will more, and particularly these lessons, we will see the more we let go of our own attachments, and as you say, this dysfunction that we have in our own lives, this disorder, because the divine will came into our lives in order to bring that chaos into order. And I think what the divine will does is it removes that disorder from our own lives, that chaos, and allows us to be centered on God, centered on creation. And I don't know about you, sister, but sometimes I will be honest with you, when I read the messages, or the lessons, I should say, I'm going, oh my goodness, is this real? It's so mind-blowing. It is. And even when we, like I say, when we're creating the videos to go with the text itself, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new way of thinking. I want to encourage people who are listening to this, if you are reading the lessons, stick with it, because they are mind-blowing, sister. Wouldn't you agree? They're not it's I mean, but I think what really gets to me, what really is the language used from a person who loves words, who loves reading, who loves writing. The language itself is mind-blowing. Even the way the sentences are formed, and it's almost like a lady is able to say something huge in one small sentence. So, I guess the essence of these lessons are to draw us gently into God's divine will, teach us, nurture us, and more importantly, to trust God, and remember that we're moving into an era of peace, friends. Regardless of what the outside world says, we're moving into an era of peace, sister, right?
Yes, regardless of what the world says. And that's why she's saying, and that's why it's important for us not to pay so much attention or so much energy on what's going on around. Take care of Jesus within your heart. Cultivate a good prayer life. Have a good relationship with the Lord. And this is what matters, because when we change, everything changes. Everything lifts. And this is what the divine will is about when you read it. It's a formation. He teaches us from the beginning. It's like you receive the foundations. You receive. I like Frances Hogan's expression. She says how there's the foundation, then there's the walls, and then there's the roof, and then you learn how to keep up the house. As you're reading, and it's a journey. Mm-hmm. And everyone's going to have a different experience. Because we're all so unique. we are all immensely loved.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what Our Lady wants us to know. And she even says, we were talking about this earlier, how Kathy and I, how Our Lady, what Our Lady had mentioned in the writings, how we were born with her. We were all conceived with her in Jesus.
Yes,
you
that's
know,
right.
we are the body of Christ.
Yeah.
So she always mentions, like in the Christmas novena, how to Jesus tells us to be in the womb with Mary, with him, in the womb of Mary with him.
Yes.
You know, so realize we have a mother, and she is the good mother, and she wants the best for us. And so what does she want for us? She wants God's will to be accomplished in our lives, in each one of our lives. Yes. So it's comforting to know that we have her, you know. And if you think about it, Adam and Eve didn't have a mother the way we do, you know.
No, we're so blessed. And you know, while reading the lessons, it's almost like she takes you by the hand and reveals things to you very gradually and very, very slowly. So when you begin, well, when you take the first step, she shares about her life, and again, the trust and the love that the Lord has on her. Then she takes you to creation. Then she takes you further into creation. She takes you into sanctification. So, friends, I want to encourage you. There's loads in these lessons. I mean, I couldn't, and Sister couldn't tell you. You got to go read them yourself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, because like I say, there's so much in them. So, Sister, I guess for those who may be watching and, you know, maybe this Christmas are feeling a wee bit low in their lives, it can be a great time for some folk, but it can be a challenging time for others. Have you got a message for them that you'd like to maybe share with them around the divine will, and particularly around these lessons?
Well, I would say that I would just say you're not alone. Yeah. Jesus suffered loneliness. Our Lady suffered loneliness. Everything that you are going through right now, our Lord and Our Lady has suffered them. And so they're with you. They're even closer with you during these times of trials. And I would encourage you to read this book, especially Our Lady's book, because the way she speaks to you, it really speaks to the heart. And she's so encouraging, and she's so gentle and so loving. And I would like just everyone to know that they're so immensely loved, you know, and that they have a mother, and to trust in the Lord and really surrender your will to him. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid, you know. Sometimes we're afraid. That's what holds us back. But don't be afraid. Just take that leap. You know, what do we have to lose? And, you know, with the new year coming up, it's also a wonderful opportunity to start again. And it's a wonderful opportunity to consider examining, first of all, your own life, your own conscience, and entering into that divine will that was given to us at this time, for the time that we're living in. And how blessed we are. I keep going back to this, how wonderful it is that we live in this time of grace. We live in this, even though, like I say, the world has gone absolutely chaos, going bananas out there. But if we, and she also talks about, you know, the interior life. When we have an interior life that's connected to God, we don't need anything else. You know, that, you know, once we have God, he suffices everything. He, you know, but particularly within the divine will, Sister, it's just truly magnificent, because it really is, this divine will is now the thread that holds our faith together. It's the knit, it's that golden thread that knits our beautiful faith together. So again, I think for the new year, friends, I want to encourage you to consider the divine will, get to know Our Lady's lessons. Sister, wouldn't you agree? And you never know what you might discover through this wonderful gift we have been given. And Sister, I want to thank you for joining me there today in Medjugorje. Thank you for unpacking some of the lessons for us. And I wish you a very happy Christmas, and please wish all the other sisters of a very merry Christmas and a wonderful New Year. And I know we're going to be talking to each other more in the new year. But again, thank you for joining me all the way over there in Medjugorje. You're very welcome. It's wonderful to see you, because you're always so beautiful and pleasant and alive with the faith. So you're such an encouragement to us again, and lots of love to you. And until next time, we'll see you in the new year. All right. God bless you. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye-bye for now.